Thousands of years before the mighty temples of the Mayans or the gold-rich cities of the Incas, a mysterious group of people lived high in the Andes and then vanished without a trace. They left behind no monuments, no written records, just bones, buried deep beneath the soil, silent for millennia. For centuries, their existence was unknown, but now, revolutionary DNA research has uncovered their forgotten story. They don't match any known ancient lineage in the Americas. They are different, ancient, isolated. So who were they? Where did they come from? And why did they disappear? This is the mystery of the Checa people. The Ice Age Gateway. Human. Entry into the Americas around 20,000 years ago, the world was locked in ice. Glaciers blanketed much of North America. Sea levels were so low that a vast land bridge, called Beringia, connected Siberia to Alaska. This cold, grassy corridor teemed with mammoths, bison, and saber-toothed cats. But more importantly, it became the first highway into the Americas. Early humans, descended from ancient East Asian and Siberian populations, began crossing Beringia around 16,000 years ago. They were hunter-gatherers, following game and adapting to new environments as they moved southward. As the glaciers slowly melted, new paths opened through the icy barriers, allowing these pioneers to spread across the continent. By 13,000 years ago, a culture known as Clovis had emerged, recognized by its distinctive fluted spear points found across North America. For decades, scientists believed Clovis people were the continent's first inhabitants. But then, a stunning discovery rewrote the timeline. At White Sands National Park in New Mexico, 23,000-year-old human footprints were uncovered, thousands of years older than Clovis. These footprints suggest that humans arrived in the Americas far earlier than we once believed. This journey, once thought simple, is now a complex puzzle with missing pieces, and one of those pieces may be the mysterious Czech people. The Bogotá, Altiplano and its early inhabitants. Nestled high in the Colombian Andes, the Bogotá Altiplano sits at an elevation of about 2,600 meters, a vast plateau surrounded by snow-capped peaks and rolling green hills. Today, it's home to Colombia's capital. But thousands of years ago, it was a lifeline for ancient humans. This elevated land offered more than just a stunning view. It had fertile soil, freshwater rivers, seasonal wetlands, and a climate that, while challenging, supported rich biodiversity. Deer, birds, small mammals, and edible plants thrived here, offering an abundant menu for early hunter-gatherers. Its geography also made it a natural stop along the ancient human migration path. As people moved southward through the narrow corridor of Panama into South America, the Altiplano was one of the first major highland regions they would have encountered, and they stayed. Around 6,000 years ago, humans settled here, long before agriculture or pottery reached the region. They lived close to the land, adapted to thin air and cold nights, and built their lives from what nature provided. But unlike later cultures, they left behind no temples, no carvings, only bones, tools, and the DNA hidden deep within them. This is where the story of the Checa people begins. A groundbreaking discovery. Ancient DNA and the Checa people. For decades, the ancient people of the Bogotá Altiplano were little more than a footnote, just bones buried beneath the earth. But recently, science gave them a voice. In a landmark study, researchers analyzed the DNA of 21 ancient individuals, dating from 6,000 to 500 years ago, and what they found changed everything. Using DNA extracted from petrous bones, the densest bone in the human skull, and teeth, scientists reconstructed genetic blueprints from these long-forgotten people. Among the individuals, one group stood out, a cluster of hunter-gatherers who lived 6,000 years ago at a site called Checa. They didn't match any known group in the Americas. Not the Clovis-associated individuals from North America, not the ancient South American cultures from Peru or Chile, not even the Channel Islands groups that migrated into the Andes thousands of years later. Instead, the Checa people represented a basal lineage, a a completely separate branch of the human family tree in the Americas. They were an early offshoot, possibly among the first to settle south of the Isthmus of Panama, diverging before the known ancestors of today's indigenous populations. Their genes tell a story of isolation, mystery, and survival. They don't fit the existing map of migration across the continent. In fact, they redraw it. This discovery cracked open a new chapter in human history, one hidden for millennia. Who were the Checa people? How did they remain so genetically unique for so long? And why did their lineage vanish without a trace? The Checa community, life, family, and survival life on the Bogotá Altiplano wasn't easy. At 2,600 meters above sea level, the Checa people endured thin air, cold nights, and a rugged landscape. But they adapted, and they thrived. They were hunter-gatherers, living entirely off the land. They hunted deer and small mammals, fished in the region's rivers and wetlands, and gathered wild plants like tubers and fruits. With no pottery to store or cook food, they likely used woven baskets, leather pouches, or animal hides. Every tool, every scrap of food had to be earned from the environment, but their most powerful story comes from their DNA. Among the 7 ancient individuals studied from the Checa site, scientists found 4 pairs of close relatives, siblings, cousins, buried near one another. This wasn't a scattered population. It was a tight-knit community, living and dying together. The men all shared a paternal DNA marker known as haplogroup Q1b1a, a lineage still common among many Native Americans today. Yet, their maternal DNA, inherited from mothers, was far more diverse. B2, D1, A2, C1. This diversity suggests a web of connections, possibly through marriage or migration, hinting at external contacts or a complex ancestry beyond isolation. Even more surprising, genetic tests showed low inbreeding rates. Despite their small population size, the Checa avoided marrying close relatives, suggesting social rules, moral norms, or wider networks of contact we've yet to uncover. These people weren't just surviving, they were organizing, connecting, and caring for one another in the heart of the Andes. The vanishing, cultural, and genetic replacement. Then, around 2,000 years ago, the Checa people were gone. Not gradually faded, replaced. Archaeologists and geneticists found no trace of their DNA in later populations of the Bogotá Altiplano. It's as if an entire branch of humanity vanished, leaving nothing behind but bones and stone tools. Who took their place? A new group arrived, genetically distinct and closely related to populations from Central America. These people brought ceramics, farming, and new ways of life. They're associated with what we now call the Herrera ceramic complex, and later, the Muisca civilization, known for its gold work, myths, and resistance against Spanish conquest. Scientists confirmed this dramatic population shift using advanced techniques like admixture, which breaks down a person's DNA like a recipe to reveal their ancestral ingredients, and QP wave, a method that checks whether 2 populations share common ancestry. The results were clear: no overlap. There was no interbreeding, no blending. The Checa people didn't merge with the newcomers. They were completely replaced. What caused this sudden disappearance? The answer may lie in technology and survival. The Herrera brought pottery, which allowed food storage. They practiced agriculture, giving them a steady food supply. These innovations could have outcompeted the Checa's hunting-gathering lifestyle. Or perhaps disease, climate shifts, or competition played a role. We may never know exactly why, but we know this. A once isolated lineage of humans, thousands of years old, was suddenly and entirely erased from the genetic map. Their story ended, but their mystery had only just begun. The big questions. What happened to the Checa? Why did the Checa vanish? It's one of the most haunting questions left by this discovery. Some researchers believe climate change, like the warming period around 6,000 years ago, may have disrupted food sources and pushed communities to their limits. Others point to competition. the arrival of pottery-making farming populations might have led to displacement. Or perhaps disease spread from outside groups devastated their small, isolated band. Their isolation, tucked high in the Andes, might have protected them for millennia, but it may also have been their undoing. But what if the story isn't over? Could fragments of the checker DNA still survive somewhere? In the Amazon rainforest, or hidden among modern indigenous groups who haven't yet been studied? That's why scientists are calling for more ancient DNA studies, especially across South and Central America. New tools like single-cell sequencing can zoom in on individual cells for deeper genetic detail. Isotopic analysis can uncover clues about their diet, their movement, even their environment. Each breakthrough brings us one step closer to understanding who these people were, how they lived, and what happened to them. The mystery of the checker isn't just a story of the past, it's a puzzle we're still solving today. Their homes fell silent, their names were forgotten. But now, through the power of science, the checker people are no longer lost. Their DNA has rewritten part of our shared human story, showing us that the past is far more complex than we once believed. History isn't just carved in stone or written in books. It's hidden in our bones, waiting to be found. As new technologies explore the Andes and beyond, more forgotten lives may rise from the dust. What other ancient truths still lie beneath our feet? Thank you for watching, and if this moved you, share it, keep their memory alive.